Assalamualaikum and good morning. A warm welcome to our talk this morning, which is part of our Diverse Origins of Kuala Lumpur KL History Talk Series, which is part of the KL Festival that is currently going on in the month of May. And we are deeply honored to have DBKL kindly allowing us to use this space at Rumah Tangsi, Loke Hall. And actually, Loke Hall is actually very dear to Badan Warisan because for some of you, you might remember that Badan Warisan used to have its office in the 80s and 90s above the cafe next door. So at that time, the Persatuan Architect Malaysia was occupying the building. So that was a long time ago. And a bit of housekeeping before we start. Let me just get my notes right. So before we begin, I would just like to remind everyone to please put your phones on silent mode, to please refrain from using flash photography, and we will be recording this session, which will be eventually uploaded at our website and social media sites. And we also want to acknowledge our sponsor, TCP, who has kindly sponsored our equipment and who are also funding the restoration of the Rumah Tangsi at our site. So on that note, actually, we encourage you at the registration table, there's a QR code if you wish to donate to Badan Warisan Malaysia for the restoration of the Rumah Tangsi. There's also a QR code for the KL Festival Discovery Pass for you to collect reward points for each event that you attend. If you like to join Badan Warisan, you can find out from my colleagues at the registration table as well. And also, don't forget to give your feedback before you leave. And the way we'll do this is that the talk should run for about an hour and a half, and then we will conclude with a minute 12 of number 10 and mostly number 10. Yeah. And we also have copies of Datin Junn's book at the back there, very limited copies. If you get it from Kinokuniya, it will be being sold at 130 ringgit. So Datin has kindly has agreed to sell it at 110 ringgit. So you can get the copies at the back, and you can also have it signed by her at the end of the talk. Now, a bit about this talk. Just bear with me. Now, I'm quoting from Datin Junn, and this is from the book, which says, "Every building holds a story. To understand Loke Hall, one must understand the man who built it, and he is Loke Chow Kit." And many Malaysians know of the name Chow Kit. It's a famous name. You know the road. You know the market. It's a very important market today for me. You can get everything there at good prices. But I think not many of us know enough about the man himself, the magnate, one of Malaysia's early pioneers. So to deliver the talk, we have Datin Junn. A bit about Datin Junn. She was actually the conservation architect who brought Loke Hall back to life, together with DBKL. And she was born in Georgetown, Penang. After completing her high school education in Penang, she earned a Bachelor of Architecture in the United States. She is a professional architect registered with the Board of Architects in Malaysia and a heritage conservator with the Department of Natural Heritage and a registered environmental impact assessment consultant, specializing in culture and archaeology. And I would also like to share that actually Datin was actually primarily responsible for the restoration of Sri Negara, right? And I don't know how many of you have been to Sri Negara, and I understand that I'm not sure whether this is public information, but she's currently embarking on Carcosa as well. That's what I hear. And we also have Noor Fazlina Rosley from City Hall or DBKL, who will talk about DBKL's role, because DBKL actually played a pivotal role in the saving conservation and the continued relevance of this former Loke Hall, which is now known as Rumah Tangsi, together with the building that we currently are in number 11. And Fazlina is the Deputy Director Architect in the Department of Project Implementation and Building Maintenance of DBKL. And since joining the public sector in 2004, she has been actively involved in various urban development, conservation, and public realm enhancement projects across Kuala Lumpur. Just to share something, when I met with, so this talk took more than a year to put together. I think I first met Dina in March last year, and soon after that, that thing. And I remember when I went to see Foto that house, there was something very significant that Hasina said to me. He said to me, Johan, for the first time, he doesn't feel alone because I'm not trying to campaign for the man, but she said for the first time we have a prime minister that was very much into heritage. And you can see that with the restoration of Bangunan Sultan of Pusamat. So on that note, I'm going to invite our first speaker, Captain Junn, and to tell us about the man himself, Loke Chow Kit. Over to you.
Thank you, Johan, Pada Marisan. Uh, a very good morning to everyone. I'm very happy to see all of you. Um, I Before I start my talk, I like to introduce a very important person in front here, who is the grand nephew of Loke Chow Kit that lives in Kuala Lumpur. Anh có quay không? Bạn luôn, không, không có. So I'm very proud that it's a descendant of Loke Chow Kit, that is the Kuala Lumpur. I'm not sure his great granddaughter is here. I don't see her. But nevertheless, she said she was coming. Anyway, thank you, Uncle Wayong, for coming. And I also like to take a 10-second moment because my book editor, Tiong Hock Siu of Panama, passed away. He was a veteran journalist for Newsweek Style, Panama, The Edge. He passed away a few weeks ago. So I'm just going to silent for 10 seconds. All right, thank you. Uh, First of all, for me to get to the root of Loke Chow Kit, it was quite painful to start with, but at the end, it's very, very warm. And also the encouragement from my team members, Fazlina. First time I have a project where my client, I mean, Dana at that time, she was very encouraging. She's the dry, and she's also very passionate and happy. Can I take it? Oh, okay. All right. So, thank you, Johan, for the introduction. I'm a heritage consultant. I'm from Penang. I've conserved uh, quite a number of buildings, like the Parliament House, the Undang Lighthouse, this building, shop houses in town, many, and just completed Serena Barra. For those who have not been, uh, go take a look. We cleaned up the building, we demolished quite a fair bit of things. Okay, before further delay, let me start. Okay, the who. The slide doesn't run. How do I make the slide? Oh, maybe somebody that who. Okay, so the title of the book is called The Legacy and Heritage of Loke Chow Kit. Uh, Next slide. Okay. All right. The legacy of and heritage of Chow Kit was the first time a book ever published about Chow Kit. You will see Wikipedia or Chow Kit in the past, but I must say, 60% of the information in the past before the book was published is still correct. Um, we cannot limit the previous whoever wrote that because that I mean, by the time when I was looking on digital information can be easily accessed, archived when compared to the past. So anyway, the first time ever the book of Chow Kit was published in 2020, 102 years after his demise. The same year, Chow Kit District was nominated by the New York Times as one of the top 50 places to visit in the world. Can I hear? Can you hear me? Hear me? Have to be closer. Okay. So anyway, Loke Hall was listed as a heritage in 2012. Okay, in Malaysia, there's an act on heritage. There's a heritage act where they inscribe buildings that has heritage value. Uh, the heritage values is from education to social, history. So this building in 2012. So when you see a building that with a plaque like that, that means it's a listed building, means a protected building. That means it's the you cannot just simply renovate or demolish without the approval of authority. So anyway, um, so here it is. The book was published, and then let me tell you the journey. I am not a publisher. I'm a heritage consultant, but because when I finished this project, the information I found about Chow Kit was very, very interesting. And then we collected the research for about 5 years and collected all the information. And then finally, when the project completed, then we decided to write on it. And my 14-year-old daughter was also doing it at the time. So the uniqueness about this book, it's a book that is written by people of two different generations. So this is the concept of heritage of passing down. Of passing down. And while my research, I also interviewed people 40 years older than me, 30 years older than me. Example, Mr. Loke Chow, you are 80 plus. Yeah. So I have many generation, older generation, myself, and passing down to the younger generation. So that is the concept and the spirit of heritage. Okay. So when I completed my book, our book, I don't have a distributor. I do not know how to sell the book. I thought, I'll just go to my office and whoever wants to buy. So I bring the book to Kinokuniya. I carried the book there. So I look for whoever is in charge. So later I pass it to the manager. I'm very thankful to her. And then she asked me to say, you come back half an hour. So I went to get a drink. So she took the book, she browsed it. After half an hour later, okay, she said you're gonna sell a book. So it was like, a winning stake for me. I mean to have a book sold at Kinokuniya. So that's how the book was sold in Kinokuniya. And further that, Gerak Budaya sells our book, Arifan Connect. So there's only 3 places. But the book is on the selling out already. We don't have. I think this and another 2 boxes, but we will keep it for our office as gift, or for people who want to have it. Okay. So this is how it happened. Huh? Okay, next slide. Okay, how the book came about. Next slide. Okay. In the midst of the restoration of lot 11 and lot 10, suddenly lot 10 was inscribed by the Department of Heritage as heritage. So it was, Fazlina will tell you more of the story of this chronology, but that's where I came in as a heritage consultant. Okay. So the state of the building when we came in, it was similar something like that. So when you come in as a heritage consultant, you need to do research. In heritage principle, history cannot falsify. Okay? Any intervention, it has to be have a valid reason. You can return it to the original, or you have other research that you want to reconstruct it to the original. So it has to be studied and explained for it why you do this and why you not do that. So documentation is the start. When you started with the historical research is where I get to know Chow Kit, and then we do documentation. Documentation is very important because you need to show the video before it was, during and after. So therefore, because our time is very short, Fazlina will also have a lot of information to show you. Stay put. Okay. So anyway, this was it. Okay, so this is the state of the building that we came in. A building that was built in 1903, timber floor, timber roof truss, massive roof tile. So this was the state when we came in, the timber and all this loading. So it's pretty bad. I mean, um, I think lack of maintenance, I would say. Actually, the pen move out first, first enough. Pen move out for a while, right? It stay kosong, again, it stay empty for a while, right? Before DBKL took over, right? No? Okay. Oh, okay. So sometimes I think is the maintenance is very important. I think the maintenance culture in a lot of Southeast Asia buildings, I think we are quite lacking. But I believe, given the time and self-awareness of the society, I think we will do it better. Okay, so that's the state of it. Uh, and then, I'm sorry, I don't know how to do this. Okay, so this is part of the documentation. You may think that why is it like that? So this is actually a VR 360 view where we do documentation like say this wall, where we open all. So when you open in wide angle, there will be this round fish eye thing. So this was the one of the panel view that we have done. This is the Loke Hall, the state of it. Uh, I share this slide because I wanted to show you this. Look at all this in here. What do you think they are? They are actually steel plate. So when I came into the building, I mean, when Pam was here, I mean, I'm a Pam member because when they put carpet on it, when you walk, the sound is not, the metal sound is not that obvious. But after when we started conservation, when you walk on it, it's like you're walking on a ship, So the decision to take down this steel floor, it was a decision that it was debated, cost, time, floor height. So it was a decision that I was pushing for it, and I wanted it to be retained back to its original timber floor as a structure. So it was a very challenging process because when the thickness of a steel floor and timber is different, the different thickness. So eventually the staircase, to join the staircase there'll be problem. So we have to cheat, we have to like from this side high and then slowly we taper it down, 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 down. That when somebody walk, you don't feel it. So you match the steps because we're not taking out the steps. So after that, we took that out. We managed to take out the steel plate, lower down the steel joist. So it was a big challenge exercise. So this one was on the first floor. As you can see, the rust of the floor. However, one thing we didn't do was a steel truss. That was the exercise that is maybe next phase or the future phase. So cost and also time. So this was a state of it. We have many, many panel view, but this is one of them. But what I'm trying to say is the steel floor here. Okay. And then next, I told you the steel floor, right? Next is the courtyard. I'm from Penang. I grew up in a house that's similar like that. At the end, I'll tell you who are my family. Later on, I'll share. So I came in, I saw this floor here. So I brought a contractor with us. We do some hacking. It's part of conservation exercise. And it was top up with cement. It was top up with cement. And then later on, we unveil it. And then after that, we unveil the granite, which is the very common material at that time. But it's not only the granite, in these courtyard houses, because of the water. When the rain comes in, there's a many outlet, the water goes out and discharges outside. That's a very typical courtyard houses, like those shop houses that you see, where it has got courtyard, the rainwater comes down and then it discharges to the side and then goes up to the longkang. So this is also part of it. And in this house, it goes two sides, left and right. Okay. Next slide is another addition of the building that we took out was the annex. So this is the main house. Sorry, this is the main house, and then there was the annex joint. And then it was covered up here, and they have toilets because they wanted to gain some space. So we proposed, this is our architectural proposal. We like to open it up to retain to where the original site was. So this was the visual proposal that we submitted to my client here, and they agree, and also the heritage department. So this is during the construction, we unveil it, and then we restore. And then you see the walls, a lot of yellow here. The building originally was yellow color. In fact, I would say almost all the building that built around that era, because they were using lime wash and using this yellow pigment, ochre, we call it yellow ochre. So is Srinagara. Srinagara color was also this, where we stripped the wall. But because of my client wanted it to be white, so we painted it white. So if you were walking around the city, you go through old buildings, then you see some peel on the wall, the yellow. They have different era. They all started yellow ochre, and then after that it goes to blue, and then it goes to green. So you will see this evolution of color because of the technology, how to make that. So they were all mixed with lime wash. Okay. Okay, here go another yellow. So this was Loke Hall, but after Chow Kit built this building, he didn't live here for a while. It was like very short, within 2 years. He leased it to Empire Hotel. But he is also one of the shareholder of Empire Hotel. Okay? And then subsequent to that, after he built finished the lot 10, he built lot 11 over there, the big first. This is like a shop house big. So they built there where they have their mining office. Uncle Chow, Chow Tai's office used to be in front there, your grandfather's office. So Chow Tai and Chow Kit, they are brothers, very, very close knit brothers. In Penang, there's a Chow Tai Road. In KL, there's also Chow Tai Road, but now changed to GT Wangsa. In KL, Chow Kit Road, but now there's a district of Chow Kit district. So basically, it's like one brother in Penang, one brother in KL. They're very close brothers. Okay. So now I told you the background of the building. So the slogan here, the theme here is that every building holds a story. To understand Loke Hall, one must understand the man who builds it. And who is he? Is Loke Chow. Okay. After my research about him, finished the conservation of the building, I gave him a name, a Straits Born Son, and a FMS man. Historically, Malaysia, the formation of Malaysia, Straits Settlement, Federated Malay States, Unfederated Malay States. So FMS means Kuala Lumpur, Selangor, Pahang, Perak, and Negeri Sembilan. Straits is Penang, Malacca, Singapore, and also the Ninding Island. So why I say he's a Straits born son? He was born in Penang, educated in Penang. He passed away in Kuala Lumpur, which you will see in my book. A man has got two funerals. I'm not sure for Chinese culture whether pantang or not pantang. I am not sure. But a man will have two funerals. He has it one in Kuala Lumpur, and then his hearse was shipped back to Penang. Another funeral before he was buried in Mount Escape. So that is it. But Chow Tai also buried in Penang, but Chow Tai passed away in Penang, right? Yeah. So the two brothers are actually buried in Mount Escape in Penang. Okay, a Straits-born son and an FMS man. This is from the obituary of from his friend, who I do not know who, but it says he's for a friend. He spoke English, Malay, and various Chinese dialects with equal facility, looked dignified and reserved, and was a man of considerable brain power, progressive and liberal in his views. So this is actually from from a newspaper Malay Mail in 1918, the year he died. He passed. Okay, just a quick overview. What is the difference between a straight settlement and the Malay states? So it was comprised, I said, the three states, and then formed in under the presidency under the administration of East India Company, and the FMS was the British intervention after the Bangkok Treaty, and then after that it started Barat, then it extended to the four states, and Kuala Lumpur was the capital of the FMS, where Bangunan Sultan Abdul Samad was the state secretariat building last time. I think it's good after this you can walk over there. Transformation just completed. Okay. So anyway, this is the old map. This is the old map. The unfederated federated states, and then the straits. It seems that the straits is very small in terms of land area. Penang, India here, and then Malacca and Singapore. Okay, so this is the signing of Bangkok Treaty. I just put this photograph because I want to show you this background line. There's a timber bridge. No, that's the other window. Okay, this is the table content of my book, which I'm just going to briefly tell you. Why don't we talk about the background? The background meaning we talk about Colombo, Chow Kit, about him. He's got two wives. No, he's got three. Three. One of the third wife has one child. Three wives. Officially two. Unofficially one. Well, which is very normal in those days. Okay, I think three is not that many. So, but it's his second wife that gave birth to the most children. She was actually opera singer, Margaret Kelechi. So she's been around, you can see all the pictures, and then his trades, his business. He was an opium farmer, which is very normal in those days. That's why everybody makes their wealth. All the from I mean you all the important personalities, the rich personalities are following that. And but he was the minor, and he owns the chocolate company, departmental store. So he was basically everything, anything that he can grasp on it, that he can make money. As an open farmer, we know that it's something today that we think we will not look up to, But at the end, he also joined Boon King, to anti the stock, this growing farm as well, which is mentioned in the book. And then he has this Loke Hall, which is the building, and then we have Deswood. Actually, Loke Hall is his town home because it's very near to his department store. His original house is called Deswood in Petronas Tower. I think last time I gave a talk in Petronas, I showed in Petronas. So the whole block on land in Petronas was actually his. And opposite Petronas, there is Public Bank Loke Hall. That's where Chow Tai's house is. So they all own all those loan banks, the two brothers, opposite street of the side. And then there's a Mon Soju. Mon Soju is a retreat home in Penang Hill. So Mon Soju started with Chow Kit and then later on transfer hand between the brothers to Chow Tai. And so the Chow Tai was the last owner, but started with Chow Kit. So in those days in Penang, for you to own a home at the hill is almost none because of the color. Only the Mat Saleh, the British white people officials, they will be able to have homes like that. But somehow, I don't know how he does it. He can own a home there. And he can own a home in Barak Road, which is on the western side of the town, where all the British officials who live in the area, like Carcosa, all the behind the hill, on the western hill, Lake Garden. So these are the western side of Kuala Lumpur last time. So they consider like an elite. So I believe this was shared in the earlier other series by other people. And then last one, the chapter, the name lives on. What is that? Chow Kit. Chow Kit Road. Now it's even bigger. It's a district. So the history from FMS to Independence Malaysia. So today his name lives on. Chow Kit LRT station. I think many young generations they do not know actually Chow Kit is a person. Yeah. After this book I met quite a lot of the younger generation. But before the book, the chief there, his eldest son's son. That means great grandson. Great grandson is actually in Penang. He's a surgeon. His name is TNC. So we people that I interview TNC Pawayo, Mrs. Kington Lu as well. So Kington Lu and Chow Kit are related. Kington Lu's mother is Chow Kit's daughter. And Kington married Loke Yu's grandson. So that's how they are connected. Yeah. Auntie Jaden, she knows about this event. I think she's 90 plus. Just unfortunately, Auntie Jaden is not here. It would be good if she came. Then Uncle Wyong would have met. Okay. So these are the KL. So okay, streets. Streets Wonsan. I want to talk about the streets. From Penang, I think you understand the streets Chinese culture, the Peranakan family. With the advent of the British colonialism during the late 18th century, the street Chinese culture took an anglicized dimension, embracing the English language like Chow Kit, okay, and intellectual ideas, adopted Western dress and visual activities. We see how Chow Kit dress, and then many street Chinese facilitate multiple languages, culture, codes, switching back and forth between them, and whether it's a private or whatever function they have, they can adapt. In the British society, they can adapt in it. In the Malay society, in the Indian society, they can adapt to it. But Chow Kit was very close. In fact, his best friend is actually Indian. That's why he likes to. One of the cosplay when he joined the party in Kalmasa, he was dressed as a chetia. Where he actually shaved his hair. But I believe he's very good friends with the chetia because I think money lending. I'm sure. I'm not trying to downgrade him, but that is how you run businesses. You need cash. Yeah, the chetia are very wealthy. They are the instant banker. They don't need to check your credit, submit this document, that document, right? Go to a bank. That's easy, So yeah, he's had a lot of very good Indian friends actually. So it's a street Chinese culture, street sports. I remember I said he was a street sports. Okay, what are their lifestyles? Their lifestyle, their social culture. You look at the furniture they have this Chinese, their lifestyle. They have this Chinese furniture. They have this European style. And for Chow Kit, his crockery, he has this crockery. This is for my book, where he had engraved it Loke Hall in his crockery. And he even have this silver where he put down here Loke Chow Kit. Yeah? So this was actually from the book, but actually this belongs to the chief and Tensi. This is from Tensi's collection. And and then the brand, I think they're more brand identified beside our book peers. So this is a lifestyle. They want to be like an European, yet they have this Chinese culture embodied into them. Okay, next slide. What's my time? 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Okay. Okay. I have the honor to have lunch with Mrs. Kingdom Group. This was the picture I was served with. The lunch was made by her helper, and we had lunch. Unfortunately, because of copyright, I cannot show the picture of me with her. But this was a plate from her house. So I have this spinach and salmon. I don't know what's that, like a pie, You know how I discovered this Loke Hall plate? While I was having lunch with her, I was eating on my plate. Suddenly, you can see this picture. I saw this. I quickly stopped and snapped a picture. Okay? So, I have this, and then she's not aware. She's what about? I think a lot of people not aware, but I think Kington's mother definitely aware because this was actually it belongs to Kington's mother. So all this from her house. So I have the honor. So I wanted to share. So this plate is actually gold plated at the trim of it. You can see a similar plate by Albert Pierce in the Lugut War Museum. Belongs to one of the I think the Sultan, but they put it. But they have the brand Alfred Pierce, the plate, different colors. Theirs was like green color, but without the logo, it was nothing, just white like that. So this was the lifestyle, the crockery, the silver, the fork and spoon. There are more. There are more. It's just that I cannot show them all. Okay, next slide. So we know that across the street is Chow Kit and Company. That's where his important store is. And you look at the graphic, you look at the presentation of the letterhead, the building. This is Mahkamah Perusahaan. This is Mahkamah Perusahaan now. And then this is, a general storekeeper, wines, provision merchants, tailor outfit, Kuala Lumpur. Telephone number 111. Imagine 111. Okay, maybe we buy by Apple. We put a zero in front or zero behind. Okay. And then he has got a telegraphic code. Okay, A B C code. This is the addition, the A B C the code. Okay. So, that merchant as a merchant, his lifestyle very European look. I mean he's an Anglophile. I'm not sure it's a good word to say, Anglophile. Yeah. Is that a good word to say? Okay, pantang or not. Whether Ongdo Wayong, your family, I say he's both of them are Anglophile. Okay. And then about Loke Hall, I'm going to be ending very soon. How the Loke Hall came about. Okay. This is an encyclopedia, Junn Ng says. The late 19th century and 20th century, private residence of wealthy Chinese among the most spectacular building in the Malay cities. They're eye-catching for the sheer ostentation and for the way they combine European classical form and styles with traditional Chinese house plan and motif. Result very elegant to musical with architecture hybrid. Are called comprado mansion. It is from that side. So you will see it mentioned with Chinese principle, detail, or ornaments, a very Western type. Okay, very quickly. Okay, next. So the Malay bungalow, how it came about on Malay bungalow. Just now I show you there's a picture of signing the Bangkok Treaty, where behind you see the bungalow raised on stilt. So the very early bungalow that started built in Penang, we call it the term, it was originated from the 17th Bangla and the word of huts or Bangala. So in Penang, it started in 1814, built by a Chinese dealer, Loke Chow. So you can see how the bungalow was built. Raised, like the kampong house. However, the roof, it doesn't follow the Malay traditional houses. So basically, bungalow in Malaysia is a detached house, set compound, kampong, compound, big, kampong. So is the English manner as well. They also big kampong compound. And then in the 18th century, Malayan bungalow, they have this assimilating the tradition of the East and West and adapt the new environment on stilts, airy, or yeah, we'll skip. Then we have this Anglo Indian bungalow where it is the predecessor of the 18th century bungalow. And then next, we come to this, which is what Loke Hall is. The strange reflective bungalow takes after the Anglo Indian style. Three bay invariable symmetrical facade, projecting front, a Malay feature of Anto and Serambi, big lawn driveway right to Cosmo shape, and layout with feng shui application. Okay, so I'm going to go to what feng shui application here. Okay, next slide. Okay, a courtyard house. You will see all the old bungalows with courtyard house. Why? Okay, this is actually a quest for harmony through courtyard houses. The confusion and the Taoist principle of harmony living traditional Chinese urban culture. Confucian principle, they look at court houses is to promote harmony in social relationship, whereas the Taoist principle, harmony with nature. One is man, one is nature. So that's how you will see in Beijing. If those who travel to Beijing, I'm sure you have seen all the Sidoyan, those houses, they all have this courtyard in the houses, like what the hall has. And then in Malaya, many parts of Malaya, we will have these shop houses where they all have all this courtyard. So this is why the principle of these courtyard houses came about over by the Chinese immigrant. So this is a quest for harmony through courtyard houses. So this is the Empire Hotel. It was Loke Hall before, 3 bay principal. And then this is Lot 11. This was their office. This bay was actually for their minor office. So basically, Uncle Wayong, Chow Tai had a lot of his time here. A lot of his time, instead of the Ampat houses. Chow Kit's mining business is actually run by the brother, by Chow Tai. His younger brother takes care of all the mining businesses, and then Chow Kit takes care of other businesses. But make mining mostly by his. Next slide. So again, the architecture for their houses, 3 bay, very symmetrical. Of course, they have other quarters. It's all knowledge. They have several quarters as well. But we are going to go see this house. So this was the courtyard during pack stack that we opened up, and then we restore it for this open courtyard there. So this is a broad axon. Okay, next. So there was a part of during the restoration we restore it. So this is the courtyard after we complete it, which we are going to see. But of course, this house was completed what 10 years ago, almost, right? Yeah, 9 years ago. So it will not be so to speak and clean like that, but it's very well maintained still. Okay, so this is more of the courtyard. So, okay, next slide. We're going to end here. Okay, now remember I told you the style of the mansion, the Chinese layout, style, Chinese principle layout. But Chow Kit, he also wants the best material. Like you saw his presentation, the crockery of his household. But he also built the building with this steel, a watermelon powder Glasgow, all this steel work from Scotland. Imagine, sail from Scotland to this part of the world. In fact, there are many old bungalow mansions that go to Pranaka Mansion in Penang. They also have such railing. Boat house in Jalan Ampang. They have a beautiful railing as well at down their fence. But unfortunately, all looted and stolen. So, but for this Loke Hall, we also lost quite a fair bit. So we replica them. How we replica? Because we have the drawing, we got the catalog, which I really requested from English Story England. So the American, we told them we're doing this project. They really sent us the catalog for free, so we could replica that. So important, So this is the conservation that we completed. Yellow, Yellow. Okay. Fazlina, as a client, she agrees to it, and then she make lot 11 white to have a contrast. No, because I must say that the top management, they couldn't accept the yellow. Maybe I don't know. It could be protocol. Maybe because we know that the royal in our country uses yellow. So maybe there's a certain rules or laws which I'm not sure. Okay, so I guess I'll pass to next slide. Next. Okay, I want to say thank you. This quote is written by my co-author, Junn Ng. Heritage is time's inheritance. What the past has relinquished to the present and what the value the present bestow upon the future. So my co-author is already 21 years old now, doing architecture in Manchester School of Architecture. She will graduate part one in July. I hope in future talk, maybe I will bring her. Okay, I'll pass to Fazlina. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry, I had an accident on the staircase at my house, so I will not be able to go walk back and forth like Madam June, but I hope you can hear me well. Yeah, because I'm very excited to tell you. Usually, I have this session just 1 hour to my own. But now, Encik Johan puts me for 30 minutes. So my 90 slides, I need to push down to 53 slides. So I'm going to be really quick. So we'll try by 11:20. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So thank you very much, first of all, for Badan Warisan Malaysia for inviting me as a representative for Kuala Lumpur City Hall. I see some non-Malaysians here as well. So Kuala Lumpur City Hall, I will keep mention here as DBKL. Yeah. So that's how we call it, DBKL. So thank you, because like Encik Johan said, previously before PMX, it felt like a really lone fight for the conserving of old buildings in Kuala Lumpur. So now that he's on board and we're all geared up for the Warisan KL. Well, I'm very happy, although I'm not in charge at all for the Warisan KL, but still that really lights my heart. Yeah. Okay. So for my session, I will call this as a brief story of Lot 10 and Lot 11, yeah? Because I need to perbetulkan or correct the understanding of lot 10 and lot 11, which one is Rumah Tangsi and which one is not. Yeah. So, as a representative of DBKL, I'm presenting this as a custodianship, conservation, and continued relevance to both of these buildings because this is DBKL's first conservation project, and these two buildings are government owned buildings to DBKL, and it's very important as a benchmark for us to make this work. Yeah. Okay, so before we move on, this is actually from Datin Jun's book. So this is, I cannot remember, 1893 map. So this is our building here. And it overlooks to the Dataran Merdeka. Back then there were no highways, yeah? But then there was a railway line. So how important the location was back then, eh? So we had from a horse stable, right? Just beside apa tu, Rumah Tangsi, and then we had former Selangor Rest House before they have a Selangor Club, and also a chambers. And this is the former townhouses, which is this building, former townhouses of Loke Chow Kit. And then this is lot 11. Beside it is lot 12, which is not owned by DBKL, but was the Empire flat, part of Empire Hotel. So this is how it goes like. So can you imagine living here, overlooking the Padang? Back then they called Dataran Merdeka as the Padang, where all the British residences will congregate and play apa tu? That's right, cricket. And so orang-orang kaya. And then there was Loke Chow Kit, who was the local there because he was so into the development of KL. From reading Datin Jun's book, he built this lot 11 was supposed to be government's quarters, yeah? And then suddenly he probably doesn't plan, so he uses this as an extension to lot 10 and also office to of his other businesses. So this is how it looks like now. This is lot 10, lot 11, and there are 9 small lots prior to lot 10. So you can go and have a visit later. And this is before conservation for the lot 10 and the lot 11. Why I circle it? Because this one was the major change that we had for lot 10. And this one, the facade of this building, we retained it because the building was too dilapidated. Okay? So this is where the location is now. Very, very nice aerial view. So can you imagine living here overlooking the Padang? Beautiful. View kan? This is from aerial view from 2004. Look at behind here, all the trees. Dangerous churun, slope. And there were also the horse stable and an old house which we demolished later on. This was in 2010, where Pertubuhan Architect Malaysia was still residing in the building. And this is from 2026. So we are now here. So this is lot 10. This is lot 11. And this is 1 until 9. Okay. So this is how it looks like from Datin Jun's drone view. Just like a 3D drawing, wasn't it? I was so proud when I saw this when Datin Jun first showed us. I was like, "Wait, lawada so cantik." So I really love this photo. So this is how it is. Lot 1 until 9 as a common use. And then you have the lot 10, Rumah Tangsi, which later I will share with you the business model. And then lot 11 is being resided by the Kuala Lumpur Tourism Unit, DBKL. So this is by DBKL entirely managed this building. This thing, yeah? Okay, this is how it looks like, the plan. This was from Azwan Architects. So we had a consultant architect where Datin Arjun was attached to also under the contractual. So Azwan Architect handles the submission and the IDs. So these IDs were by Azwan Architect. Yeah? So if you see that small lots 1 to 9, lot 10, Rumah Tangsi, and then lot 11, Kuala Lumpur Tourism, DBKL. And so Rumah Tangsi was gazetted in 2012 as the Warisan or Heritage Building. So here we are right now, yeah. But then, because of the vicinity, the close vicinity of this lot 11 to lot 10, we retain the facade of this building, but we refurbished the entire inside of lot 11 because it was entirely burnt down and dilapidated. Yeah? Okay, so this is the building chronology by the Tip ARJU, which I have been using this in all my slides because it's been very helpful. It was built in 1903, tendered out, completed in 1905. I believe this slide will be in the public domain, so I don't mind sharing this. You can just download it later, okay? Because I don't think we can read it nicely here. So in 1908, it was leased to become Empire Hotel. And then it became Japanese Military Hotel, and then Headquarters Mas, and then Peninsula Hotel, and then PAM Building. PAM, Pertubuhan Architect Malaysia, moved in 1972, where they leased from Alan Loke Estate. And then the ownership changed from Alan Loke to Kumpulan Said Kecil. That's when in 1982 DBKL came in and had a land swap with Kumpulan Said Kecil to a council land in Selayar because DBKL feels that this building needs to be conserved or protected in exchange to a multi-story or high-density development. Yeah? And then in 2012, PAM moved out, and then we took over, and a new history started from Kenya. So these are all Datin A.R. Jun's effort. From the archives, Singapore, there's the salmon, big thing to have smoked salmon in the hotel, okay? Even red caviar, big thing. And then they have big thing also got ensuite bathroom. Oh, yo, interesting, so this is how back then the Empire Hotel looks like, and then this is one during the PEM residency. So the project chronology, being the project architect on BBKL side for this. So PEM lease from Ellenbrook in 1972, Kumpulan Said Kecil took over building, and then land swap, DBKL. And then 2010, while PEM was still in the building, we decided to refurbish the building. Back then, it was still not gazetted. Yeah? Remember that. So that was why we wanted to refurbish, not conserve. Yeah? And then in 2011, DBKL appointed four main consultants, but Datin Arjun was still not on board back then because it was not gazetted. Yeah? So we didn't need Datin Arjun's service back then. And then 2012, PAM moved out, and then the project tendered as refurbishment. Can you imagine that? And then while we were tendering, we got a letter saying that the project was gazetted into a heritage. And we were like, oh my God, the contract is not a heritage contract. So the contractor, however, who was awarded for the refurbishment, had to let go of lot 10. We had to omit lot 10 out. This building is being tendered as refurbishment because we retailed the facade and then we refurbished the entirety of the internal side. So in 2013, the then mayor, Tan Sri Faisal, need to give credit to him because her services was among the most expensive, but very detailed job. So Tan Sri Faisal said to me, well, if she's expensive, but her details, her scope of work, she put out detail, why not take her? Now that was definitely the stepping stone, I would think, yeah, for Datin Arjun. After that, everything Arjun, everything Arjun, everything Arjun. So she made a name lah. I have to every time this project what I would message Tan Sri Faisal because of his wisdom. We got her on board. So, and then Loke then retendered as conservation. And then we got a conservation contractor named Antiquity Sinjang Berhad. He's well known among the heritage, building heritage and conservation world in Malaysia. And then 2017, the contract's fully completed. So basically 5 years we into contracts. These are the project consultant during consultation as one architect, CGD consultant, which is WARG. This is the MNE during design. This is a QS, AI consult. This is CNS, one who said associates in Japan. Yeah. Can you see the scraping exercise, the Empire Hotel there? Yeah. So we documented that out, and then also the reason why we changed the color was because the scraping exercise proved that the color was this color. Eh? So it did not come from nowhere. So this was lot 10, the original that we drew from the acetate lux, so to speak, prior to starting work. So this was the change because Datin Arjun discovered that the MNEX here, the kind of like a connection to the MNEX from photos was actually at a terrace. So we took them out and we remodeled back the terrace. Yeah, this was before. This was before, during, after. Nice, isn't it? Yeah, I know, right? Thank you. But I have two things that I'm really proud of this project. Two things that I really fought tooth and nail. Okay. Number one is the color. Actually, my top management just follow what I say. Okay, they don't because for me it's justified. Okay, but we had a huge flag from the Pertubuhan Architect Malaysia. Sorry because it's recorded, but you know, um, yeah. So it's my father's building, so you know. So they really wanted to go for the legacy white color. I said, no, that's your legacy, but my father's legacy is yellow. You know? So I'm really glad that I fought to the nail for that. Okay? And then why I circled this. Look at that. Isn't that ugly? Ah, so back then I said, I don't want to be like selfie right in front of the pillars. So I fought for that to be moved to some other pieces with an extension of time and with an additional cost. I was so lucky that back then the top management was very, very supportive of this exercise. So, you know, these two are my pride. I left a legacy in that. So look at that. Don't you feel that is beautiful? Shame on Ketubahan Architect Malaysia. Now it's a beautiful landmark. And I saw when they were conserving, no, scraping the KTM building and the Visas building. And I thought, no, please don't do Rumah Tangsi color because it was actually yellow chrome when they scrape. Luckily, they actually maintain it white. So Rumah Tangsi remain Rumah Tangsi color. Okay? Okay, so these are some of the findings. Some of the findings. Empire we scrape and it's actually the interior is green but we maintain white. And then some are broken arches that we stitched back using brick because they are all wood bearing walls. These are all that are Junn's finding, yeah? So I'm just showing you what she has done. So scraping, we saw this everywhere. So actually they cut off the ventilation and the light. So we actually put perspectives inside it. So we found like female and male lavatories on top. Yeah. And then while we're doing scraping walls, we found previously when we took over, the building only had one staircase on one side. So when we did the scraping, we discovered a marking of another staircase. I went to the top management and I asked for money. And my top management said, well, what to do? Conservation is like that. I got the money. So So we rebuilt that, and we're so glad now the building looks apa tu balanced and symmetrical. Because before this was just one side, so now it makes sense lah, basically. So we discovered the granite flooring. We discovered some doors. I reckon these were toilet doors to the toilet when it was a hotel, and we discovered perigi. What is perigi? Well, in one of the old toilets. This is the new staircase. This one, and we rebuilt that. It's cengang. Cengang kan? That thing is cengang. Okay, and then when we took over, the balustrades were covered by boards. And then when we took out, and then beautiful ceramic handmade balustrades. So all the broken ones we rebuilt and we put a tag on it. And this is the terrace that I told you about that Tinju discovered from photos, that it was actually like that. So this is underneath. Inside here, there's a telaga, the well that we found, and then looking up is this. Is it true that the Madras Terrace is a 3-layer of terracotta, right? So they went to a kind of like the old waterproofing method, 3 layers of terracotta with lime plaster it's sandwiched kan. But at the end of it, I think they still put a layer of contemporary waterproofing before the last layer of terracotta, just to be sure, okay? So some of the findings also, this is restoration of the need, and then some of the findings also, they actually closed this. It's beautiful. They closed this, whoever who closed that. And then we took it down and then put glasses and a double glass also to contain the aircon. Also, we discovered that, a doorway, so we rebuilt that. We took out the steep staircase because it did not comply with the building bylaw. So Azwan Architect designed this, which I think fit really nicely with the design, and also it complies with building bylaw. And final look. Please give a hand to Arjun. Brilliant. Cantik kan? I feel like crying, when it first completed. Look at that. And this is painstakingly designed by Azwan Architect. So I love this. I love this. Look at that. This is the original tiles from 1903. So later on, you find it when you're there. Yeah? This is the terrace. So these are the interior lah. Nice kan? So Lot 11, we're talking about Lot 11. Since Lot 11 is not gazetted as warisan, not gazetted as heritage, but the proximity of the building close next to Lot 11, so we retain the external facade while we had to demolish everything inside, because everything inside was dilapidated and burnt, like so banyak hantu living. So so scary. Later I show. So there were five units here. So you can see that one, you're sitting in 3 units, and then this is the final unit. So we are here lah. Now this is the modern one. Look. Aku tak pernah pergi. I never went there. So takut. So these photos were taken from my consultants and my assistants. So I pushed my assistants to go there. You go. Say hi to the hantu. I'll be here. So this is how it looks like. And this is the inside. We are here now. See how we retain the facade? So, see, this is a lawn jentera, a lawn machine. The only machine that can fit into the entire site. So later I'll show you how we had to hand dug the caisson wall, you see? The colorful caisson wall, 70 meters deep, hand dug. Because no machine can fit into this place. And I will show you how we can fit this machine in. Okay. So this is before, this is after. So we are here now. So this, Okay. This is before, this is after. So where I'm standing, I'm looking up. Okay. This is how we fit that machine in. We had to break a portion of the wall at this just outside there, fit in the machine, and then build back there. and actually to the wrath of the Jabatan Warisan Negara. But hey, we did not have any other method. So we promised to rebuild that back the wall, and we are very happy with it. So this is the wall. This was the wall that we had to take down. Yeah. Okay, so other issues. Look at the behind, the slope behind. All requires soil nailing and caisson. And the big trees also got. So this is how we hand dug caisson up. Can you imagine? This is only 3 feet. You have people digging and then waiting upstairs. And then there's a trolley, people digging, put the earth on apa tu, macam like a, what do you call that? Yeah, the pulley, and then the pulley went up, and then someone on top accepted the pulley. Oh my God, I think 3 months, 6 months ada for 70 meters long from here until the end. Can you imagine? I consider these were our heroes lah. Without them, yang berani like sempit 3 feet, definitely not my size. So they managed to do this. This cost a lot, and our top management approved the budget for this. See how amazing our top management was back then. So this is how it looks like, but now it's all colorful as an additional value to the building. So this, can you see the outside? Yeah, that is the retaining wall, and we just finished doing murals, replicating the town in that lot 10 actually. Yeah, this was how it was behind, and then while we were thinking, oh, how to pull down the tree, and then the tree fell by itself. Still thinking, not taking action, and eventually have to take action law. And expect very expensive. Usually for one tree, maybe cost around 3,000 to 5,000. That one cost 44,000. Because how they have to cut the tree from top to bottom. They have people yang hati kering punya, panjat ini, potong. These were images by the tree cutter to educate me how difficult it was to take down the tree and how big it was. See? And then, ta-da! It's all clear. So we had this all hand dug. We cut the tree, and now it's all nice with murals. And then later on, our landscape department will be putting potted plants up here. So that will be some, plants crawling down. Yeah. Okay. So how do we sustain? DBKL as the owner, but being the government, we would have a lot of procedures. So the top management say, okay, let's get the officers club, we call it Ikatan, to hold the lease arrangement with DBKL. So it's much easier, less procurement. So we awarded the caretaking, the operator to citizens like Sandra Berhad. Later I'll show you the gentleman's faces, who manages Rumah Tangsi as a placemaking event. So basically, DBKL provided the government's framework, Citizens Lab provided the creative placemaking layer, and within this balance, Lot 10 was reintroduced to the public as Rumah Tangsi. So we are creating another history for the complex. Yeah? So we call this as a complex. Lot 10 is Rumah Tangsi. This one is the Kuala Lumpur tourism unit. So this is a Tangsi complex. Yeah? And this is since 2020, we did this by citizens. Empowering community use. Look at that. Look at those. Yeah? So it's very active. DBKL can never do this alone without the intervention from the public. Yeah? So we have Siti Nurhaliza, Datuk Lat, even area boss. Okay. This is Azwan Architect. And then we have a lot of promotion of heritage. And this is only 2020 until 2023. There are more. Actually, every year we did at least 5 parks to visitors. So we also did ancestral. Can you imagine? Can you imagine having this heritage complex and do a post-rock Indian music? And we had really good coverage. Ancestral. And of course, additional values to the complex. We allowed 50 Xiaofang Cafe to move in, and right now they're quite viral, if I may say so, and top 50 in the TripAdvisor. You accepted, huh? Sorry. Okay. And then additional values as per instructed by top management now. My team did this. So before we had really ugly wall here. This is a refuse building, refuse chamber where all the sampah are in. This is the electrical room. Now it becomes a 3D. The mural artist for all this is an architect also, Pak Lan. And this is Tung Plui. If you've heard of Tung Plui. Tung Plui means deceiving of the eye. For 20 years I've been working, this is what I wanted, Tung Plui. And Pak Lan managed to, make my dream come true. How he did this was, he did this 3 times because the shadow did not fall on the right place. So he printed this drawing, put it on the wall of his house, and then drew shadow, and then he came back and drew back all of these corners. So this corner is actually all straight, but if you go there, you would thought that it's actually like that. Yeah? So I feel that Pak Lan has done a really great job. See the two blue? These are actually straight lines, but you see like it's actually deceiving to the eye. So this 3D. Okay. And then this is another one because of a instruction by the top management also. They say, Kak Lim, do like something very boring, because we only have like V shape like that. I said, okay, I'll do something. So I talked to Pak Lan. Pak Lan said, why not we try emulate the pile in Block 10? So this is what he did. Yeah. Plus, I said, Pak Lan, since at night, this wall is actually quite gelap, very scary, like that. I'm a scary person. So I said, can we try do fluorescent? So my first time, 30 years working, do fluorescent. So we crack out of it. Eh? And this is how it looks like at night. Nice, huh? Good. Oh. I had a great team, I had a great team in her. I had a great team actually. They all make my dream come true, basically. Yeah. Okay. So we won awards. But the awards, of course, it just says that this complex as government-owned building is becoming a benchmark to other governments, how we can actually use these heritage places to be successful. Used as attraction, heritage building, placemaking. And so these awards are what it means, yeah? And so the historical moment, see, 6 January, PMX cakap, I want to have dinner with PM Lawrence at some heritage building. He didn't mention Rumah Tangsi. And then his office scouted around and discovered us. So we had an historical moment. And I told PM Lawrence actually, when I was in consultancy, I learned from his museums how to conserve old buildings in Malaysia. Yeah? And then he loved it so much. PMX loved it so much. He said, I want to have lunch with Prabowo. This one took almost a month. This one 2 days. Can you imagine? It's so funny. Like, what? So the PMO office, congratulations, Kalin. Your building got chosen. Okay. So we owe it to Khazanah though. The entire Khazanah team member actually set up all these artworks. And to make it like a complete circle, Datin A.R. Junn's late staff by the name of Firdaus shared with me this from a Singapore library that building before hosted PMX father when he first became an MP. So I actually forwarded this to PMO office for them to share with PMX. It's a wonderful circle, kan? Okay. Oops. Okay. So there we go. The story of Junn Ng was not preserved by one party alone, but through the shared efforts of many hands across generations. This was our team, and this is citizens when we won FIAPSI. Just nice. There you go. And for references, there's Datin A.R. Junn's book, and also a book by our contractor, Antiquity, and all various other consultants and Muslim collections. Yeah? Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, before we open the floor to questions, just a short reminder that we will have a mini tour after the talk. And don't forget, the books are available at the back. I understand that they are not available at the bookstores anymore, so there's a few copies left. Don't forget to give your feedback. There's also a QR code for donation to Badan Warsan and the KL Discovery Pass. And before I open the floor to question and answers, just a quick mention that the Madras Terrace, when Badan Warasan had its office here in the 90s, was closed down. And the Hong Oil, there was a stationery shop there. So we used to go there and photocopy. And the current mayor, Dato Banda, Dato Sukarno, told me firsthand that 30 years ago he was a temporary staff for Badan Warasan for to publish that book.
Yes.
Warasan, yeah. Yeah, and he was his job was to make photocopies together with the chief. And Chief Nasri of DBKL.
Yes.
I think he's just retired. Is it?
Yes, the executive director.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Okay, we have two mics at the other end. Please come forward, open the microphone, and if you have a question.
Okay, I would like to ask a question that why did the building left such a state? Is it because after Loke Chow Kit passed away, then the family did the fighting for the property, or they made another building, they just left this building? And number two, how come, I'm sure Loke Chow Kit is very rich. How come there's no room for the slaves or the servant at that time? Or the wife did the cooking and everything? Or did the servant all live outside?
Okay, before I answer your question, I just saw Loke Chow Kit's great granddaughter, Ming. Can you stand up and say hello? This is Loke Chow Kit's great granddaughter. Her mother and Uncle Wayong are cousins. I think they have not met. Later we'll Uncle Wayong. This is Pak Kong's daughter. So this is a moment I felt so important, connecting families. Okay, answering your question. After Loke Chow Kit passed away, his daughter, Loke Sogin, custodian ownership goes to Loke Sogin. And when coming to the war, there's some transaction, and it went to Loke Yu's family. So you said the building was left dilapidated. That is not Chow Kit's time. Chow Kit's time was before the war. So then it goes to the Alan Loke's estate. And then after that, oh yeah, I mentioned that. Yeah, so goes to Alan Loke, is Loke Yu's son. Huh? And then after that, from Alan Loke, then it went to Pam. Went to Pam. You must remember also Loke Yu has got tons of property in Kuala Lumpur, even up to today. Butter Road, the shop houses, Kamunting, Jalan Kamunting, those are still his properties. So I do not actually know what happened that it was left unattended. But to answer your question, it was not Chow Kit's time. It was later on. What was the second question? Oh, okay. In this building, there is 7 quarters at the back there. There's even horse stable, but it's demolished. It was at the side that we also. That's where the car park, the Noor Fazlina show, or the parking area. So there were quarters, and there was also a horse stable over there as well. Okay, I'll just sit down quickly. I think I forgot. Yeah, I introduced me already. And then I forgot to add, I said I promised I was going to say how I think I said at the end, yeah, I said that at the end of my research, very rewarding with my family, I realized that my family was actually a business dealing with the Loke Chow Kit. Actually, it was my great grandfather, the Jia family in Penang, my maternal side. My great grandfather, they own Chinsing, a company where they sell motors, horse saddles, and then later on, they became the agent in Penang. for Harley Davidson bike. Chow Kit was the importer of Harley Davidson motorcycle. I mean the company, and then they have agents, in Ipoh, in Penang. So in Penang was Jinsek. That was my maternal family. So that's how I found that it was, so rewarding that I didn't even know, So yeah, so that's how we all come in December, and I can see all faces here. I may not remember names, but I see many familiar faces. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you all coming and support. Yeah. Okay, more questions.
Hi. I would like to ask a question regarding like building conservation itself. So only recently that we see a lot of uptake in like, building conservation around not just KL but also in Malaysia. But what about buildings that were already demolished before this recent drive in conservation? Like for example, you mentioned Bob House, and I remember Eastern Hotel and Cabaret in Jalan Ampang. Like those buildings were long demolished. Do you believe that it's important for us to remember those already demolished buildings, or is there like any other efforts that can be used to preserve those demolished buildings? I remember Citizens Lab also did a 3D model of Rumah Tangsi. So could that be replicable to other buildings as well? Thank you.
Okay, that's why just now my earlier slide, why I show you the 360 photo. In conservation, there are five principles, but one of the principle, the important principle, five principle by Bernard, the earlier pioneers of conservation who wrote in this book. Documentation is one of them. And in the whole process of a conservation project, documentation can take up to 30% of the fee. So a lot of time when the client doing a conservation project, wow, why so expensive? Taking 3D, taking video, doing documentation, scanning the building, they are very angry. They just want to put the money and finish the building. But people forget about the documentation, like what you said. When the building are being demolished, they are gone. Selama-lamanya terlupa, no more. But if you have it documented, you can replicate, you can share to the next generation. Remember, I always preach the spirit of heritage is passing down to the next generation. That is a very, very important principle. Okay, right? Yeah. So, the documentation, like you said, yes. With the documentation, you can replica. Yes, if the building, if the owner has got the funds, I want to replica Bob House, sure. You know who owns Bob House? You talk to Uncle Wyong. Uncle Wyong's Chow Tai's oldest daughter married to the cycle carriage family in Penang. That is the owner of Bob House. Yeah. His your aunt, right? Your aunt. His aunt. So we get all the people okay. And then the historical significance. If you want to replica a house or replicate a building, then you ask the question whether we should or we should not. So again, it comes back down to the heritage value. Why is a building being inspired? Because of the heritage value. If we are talking about value, UNESCO World Heritage Site, why is inspired? Because of the heritage value. In world context, they call it OUV, outstanding universal value, meaning no place in the world shall have that kind of value. So to get UNESCO state status, it's very, very difficult. Malaysia has got 6 UNESCO heritage sites. We are CGB consultants are involved in 2 of them. We were involved in FRIM. We were involved in the archaeological site in Sarawak. So I hope I answer your question. Again, you will study that on the value, historical value, social value, architectural value, scientific value, but then some other, you got the fun? Yes, because again, why? Except you pass it down to the next generation. That is very, very important. Every little thing. Our story is not only about heritage, tangible things, etc. I'm talking about intangible things. Our custom, our ritual, wedding ritual, food, music, practice is all shall be passed down. Because if you don't pass down, AI takes over. Okay? AI may do the wrong thing, you never know. So our future generation, they must know their roots. For we don't know our roots, we are nothing. Okay? So I have more questions anymore.
I see. There was a gentleman over there.
Oh yeah, sorry.
So I passed my history quite different and I know about Rumah Tangsi. But I don't know where the name of Tangsi come about.
And attending today's seminar, then I only realized this Rumah Tangsi before that was named as a Loke Hall. And I just like to know the name changes and when the name of Loke Hall dropped and disappeared from the history.
Never dis-
Sorry, yeah.
Name of Loke Hall never disappear. In fact, it is stated right in front of the of the house pun. There's actually a plaque saying rumah bekas rumah Loke Chow Kit. And then there's actually a in a description block, I would say, Loke Hall. But when we gave or awarded Citizens Lab as the operator and caretaker, we also allowed them some freedom to how to rebrand the place, because mind you, when the project was completed in 2017, it remained empty for 2 years. So we didn't know, it was so difficult to get people to come over because as a government owned building, people nak buka restaurant, they cannot serve non-halal or alcoholic. So many people tak jadilah, because we have a few restaurants who want to tukar, and some big huge restaurants like really huge ones, because of the lack of parking space and too many apa tu tak boleh buat itu, tak boleh, cannot do this, cannot. So it's so difficult. So when citizens came on board, they rebranded the place so that it becomes accessible and relatable somewhat to the current trend and contemporary. And because these two buildings are situated on Jalan Tangsi, so there are three main lots here: 10, 10, 11, 12. So that's what, and the only building that looks like a house, the other ones look like offices. So that's how they rebranded it, Rumah Tangsi. So basically, the history and the name of Loke Hall or Loke Chow Kit mentioned never, no, I will not allow that to erase from history. Never, not in my life at least. So it's always there. But Rumah Tangsi is just being approachable and relatable and accessible to the people around. Yeah. Sorry.
But you all have to also be careful because there's some old maps, Alan Loke's house at Bukit Nanas, they also called it Loke Hall. And Chow Kit's building, some old map, they put it Empire Hotel because Empire Hotel was there for such a long time. But Chow Kit's house like Deswood and Chow Tai's house like Loke Hall, old map also have it says Deswood and Loke Hall. It's all in my book. You can see the maps are there, if you are interested. So any Loke Hall is a Bukit Nanas, that is Alan Loke's house. They both have the same surname. Actually, Loke Yu's surname is not Loke. Actually, his original surname, if I'm not wrong, I believe was Wong. Then I don't know why he changed it to Loke. I don't know why. So that was the story. So different.
Thank you. Any more questions? Yeah. That's fine.
Sorry, am I
Sure.
audible? Firstly, I must thank both of you for your enlightening talk because I'm airborne. I must also tell you, I have moved up into the building which is in Rumah Tangsi. My father worked with the Institute of Architects, Mr. Rajadure. In the 72, when they moved there, Dad worked for you. So I remember going to the building then. So I'm looking forward to the visit today. Very impressive, and I'm very glad that it is being refurbished and maintaining the heritage. Thank you.
Thank you. And also, part of Lot 11, it was also a pen center drafting school at one time. It could be during your father's time when it started, the drafting school. Actually, they train very good ex-students. I mean, I know a few of the ex-students. One of them is a very famous illustrator in town, MSC. He was trained here. He won award. He went to Japan. Very good illustrator. You know, people like grew up from there. So I think the story it never ends. I think if we were to interview people, we get more stories actually that we didn't know.
Hi. I just want to ask about what challenges are faced in serving Rumah Tangsi while promoting tourism development. Challenges that serving the country while promoting tourism development. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Heritage and tourism doesn't equal. Okay? Heritage, you campur at tourism, impact. Okay? So, therefore, in the context of UNESCO, tourism has to be controlled. It's not that in heritage we forbid development, forbid tourism, but it has to be controlled. So the challenges, definitely there will be. When we do heritage conservation, oh boy, I do not know will I ever come up with a book about my challenges throughout. I don't know, maybe next 20 years or before I die. I don't know. There's a lot of stories. Okay. So, but I think we'll pass to Fazlina because they are the owner. How they manage to activate the building. Because for heritage building, if you conserve it, you don't activate it, it also means nothing. When you leave it empty, it will deteriorate. So your money, you don't get back your money. So it's how the business plan, how you turn it is very important. Fazlina can help.
So on the BKL's point of view, our challenge is of course the do's and the don'ts of the building, and we were very closely monitored by Jabatan Warisan Negara. When we were doing the project, every site meeting there will be a representative from Jabatan Warisan Negara. So we cannot be nakal-nakal, okay? So they will like that, like I can see you like that, huh? So when the building completed, it was difficult for us because nobody wanted to go into a building with so many do's and don'ts. Yeah. So we were very lucky that finally the top management found a business model, a way to cut off the procedural, all the tendering, whatever. So the top management said, okay, Ikatan, I'm part of Ikatan also because it's a officers club. Ikatan, you take over, you find people. And we found citizens. We held on to his portfolio for 2 years. Actually, because the then president did not like their ideas. Until the last president, like 2, 3 years back, they agreed. And now Ikatan saw how blossoming the places with this place making ideas. Back then, there's no place making ideas, no place making awards, but the place making is a trend now. And we're just lucky that citizens are young people who can think, can be trendy. So we're lucky in that sense actually. So that's part of the challenge lah. The do's and the don'ts, and ultimately susah nak cari orang to use the
Now, before I come forward, before I invite the next question, just wanted to share something that I learned last year. Last year was a mad year. Last year was a mad year of conferences because of the ASEAN so I ended up going to Penang and Malacca 3 times. So there was a conference in Malacca last year on cultural heritage conservation. And the eye-opening presentation for me was from the Singaporeans. So going back to that question about tourism, and they explained that as important as tourism is, the tourism dollar, they were not doing it, they were not preserving the heritage for the tourists. They were doing it for their people. Guess what? Because The policy makers and decision makers of tomorrow are your children today, not the tourists. The tourists will come and go. So I thought that was really eye-opening. So a bit of snippet on that question. So sorry.
Hi, very good morning. Oh, I wanted to see the two panelists in front as well. Hi, good morning. My name is Rihanna. I'm actually from the tourism industry. So even though I'm from the tourism industry, but I'm very passionate about heritage and historical sites. So I concur with what Dati now that tourism and heritage are really two different. How would I say? Uh, what is the word to use? They're two different streams. Being focused too much on tourism, heritage is neglected. But because I'm so passionate about heritage, so sometimes when I do my Walks Heritage walk, I actually feel that more could be done with a lot of early builders of Malaya. Like for example, Loke Chow Kit. I'm sure he has done a lot of things for early Malaya. So besides having talks like this on his, Tangsi, the Rumah Tangsi, is there any other thing that we could do as the general public so that we can, just like Junn says, it must be passed down to generations and generations so that these early builders of Malaya are not forgotten. Thank you.
Well, it's in my book. It's for those who have read my book.
Let me give you a trivia. Let me give you a trivia. Actually, in our contract for the building, our contract says we need to produce a book, a coffee table book. And then I told my top management, I said, Tanto, if we produce the book, we don't sell the book. How are we going to apa orang kata share the infos if we don't sell the book, because the book will remain in DBKL's library and DBKL's office. So let's just take out that from the contract and give the conservator to write a book on, and also the contractor. Remember, I showed you two books, and also the contractor to write a book so that they put passion in the book because they want to sell the book, and it can the not hello, the knowledge will be disseminated. So that was the idea. And for me, all my slides are online. That's on my part. And if you Google YouTube, Noor Fazlina Loke Hall, you will find my talk on YouTube for 2 hours on this. I'm hoping, it will stay there until I go. Because that's my part of disseminating the knowledge. But also, what is interesting in Arjun's book, the book also mentioned how important Chow Kit is to the development of KL, being the funder to a lot of development. He was the one who started the infrastructure in brick fields when they produced bricks to do brick shop houses after the big fire of Kuala Lumpur. And every time nak buka jalan, they don't call DBKL back then sanitary board, they call Loke Chow Kit. Correct or not? So because he's the funder. So that's how important. That's why we dedicated a district for him. Chow Kit district. So buy the book and you will see.
Okay, now one last question because we need to start the new tour. So can I invite one last question before we close?
Good morning, ladies. My name is Leslie. I'm also a history buff. I don't study history, but I'm just passionate together with my wife. Both of us are very passionate about history. Noticing this building from the outside, it looks a little stunted. No, there's no, as you mentioned, normally bungalows and the big, garden spaces, driveways. Knowing that Chow Kit was a rich man, he probably had cars, horses, as you mentioned earlier. But the frontage is very stunted. There's no grand entrance to the building. Was it because it fronted a railway line, or was it designed purposely like that? Any ideas?
Definitely, it was front. There was a railway line before. Remember, I told you this hill is all for white people, Western people. You think he would have an opportunity to get an English manor mansion with a big land? No way. To get this piece of land to build a house is already a plus. It's already he's this muscle already to get there. Yes, Prince Regent's house I come. You get that. But Chow Kit's house in Deswood, sure, he has got that huge lawn, very very big lawn at the Petronas side. Yeah, that is it's not that he doesn't want to build it. It was the constraint, and also the railway. Yeah, I think Ning, you want to say something? You
Okay. I was just gonna say, as I was gonna elaborate on what June said, but you have to imagine, you have to imagine KL 1880s. The Chinese were in Chinatown. The Malays were in Kampong Baru. The British was on this hill. The British kept the best land for themselves. And for a Chinese person to be given this tiny little corner of where only the white people were allowed to live, that's already a big thing. The fact is also, he was across the road from the Selangor Club, and he was one of the first Chinese members of the club. It was a very different society from now, where we're a lot more mixed. It was very separate, and from what my mother said, this was the city house. He had his country house in Deswood. And Deswood was the site of Deswood was, I don't know how many acres, June, but it started from Jalan P. Ramlee, Jalan Pari, went down to Jalan Mayang, all the way across the Ming Hotel Chorus. That was many, many acres. And that's where you have the big estate, the big houses, his cars. I think he had, my grandfather had owned his own private plane that he would fly up to Bangkok the night for lunch. It was a very nice lifestyle that I don't have that lifestyle.
Ming was talking about her grandfather.
Okay, right. And then to answer the question where the money went, you have to remember World War One happened. He died just before World War One. Then World War Two happened, and my mother said the Japanese just came into Deswood, and whatever they pointed at had to go to the Japanese headquarters. So all the houses on Jalan Ampang, Bok House included, that used to be called Millionaires Road, the Japanese would come and just say, that table, that piano, that cupboard, we take. They lost a lot. A lot of the family fortune was lost during the Japanese times by the Japanese. And then King Lu rescued this house actually because he was president of PAN, and he was a grandson of Loke Chow Kit and Loke Yu, and he just cleverly rescued the house by making it the headquarters of PAN. So it stayed safe for a few decades until DBKL took over. And I'm very grateful you did what you did. So thank you very much.
Uncle Wayong, you want to add anything? Because you have lived that generation. Uncle Wayong has seen Deswood. Yeah. You know, maybe you want to just tell us two rooms, the Jalan Ampal. Oh, you cannot hear. Oh, okay. Better we don't disturb him. Okay, never mind. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah.
I didn't hear you. I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, I said you want to describe the landscape of Jalan Ampal. That last time, Loke Hall, that's room. Remember you told me you met Mrs. Loke Chow Kit? You went to Mrs. Loke Chow Kit's house? Okay, yeah, okay, all right.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So, as you mentioned just now, I think that's mentioned in one of colleagues' books about you can see evidence of divide and rule in Kuala Lumpur. At the confluence, we have Malay Street, and the main thing is where the Chinese are. So for Loke Chow Kit to have a house at the at the western side of Kuala Lumpur, which is actually reserved for the British, all the way to Bukit Aman, Tara, Kenny Hills, and yes, that's quite an achievement. So before we close, we're going to start the tour shortly. Just a quick reminder: you have the books at the back, the QR code for feedback and donation for Rumah Penghulu, and also the KL Discovery Pass. So a big round of applause for our speakers, Dr. Junn and Noor Fazlina. Thank you very much.